Welcome to pod number 56 of the Sam Houston SportsTalk podcast. Collin Luke Scott right alongside me. Football is closer and closer than we really think, folks. Just before you know it, it's going to be August, and then it's just going to hit. That football season is going to hit us like a freight train. That's when things are going to get busy for us and all that, Luke. But that's, of course, why people should go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our social medias that are in the description, because once the season goes, once Bearcat athletic season goes, things are going to come out like crazy content wise for us when we're recording like, because we recorded like a pod like twice a week during football season. And with how this football season is going to go, or how like logistics wise and everything, it's going to be bound to be, from our perspective, one of the more interesting things we're ever going to do, probably.
It definitely will be good to talk to you once again, Colin. It was good. Good little trip, at least for y'all up to Frisco. At least it was across the street from me, pretty much. But this season's going to be quite the ride. I think just about for everyone, including the fans, the players, the coaches, for us. And like you said, we're planning on being super consistent with putting out episodes and just trying to connect with everyone on the internet and the interwebs. But yeah, it's definitely one of those seasons where, at least whenever we talk and whenever we talk with others, it's kind of we just don't really know what to expect coming into this season, and we got a little bit better of an insight this past week at Media Day, but still so many questions out there for us, Colin.
Well, we are going to talk about Media Day, and we're also going to talk about my time up at Bauer Stadium as Sam Houston held day one of training camp. But first, let's start off with Media Day. It started off very, a bit of a rush, I guess you can say. I drove up there. I I was carpooling with voice of the Bearcats, Carlos Zimmerman, and sports editor of the Huntsville Item, Colton Foster. I drove up there, and Longo was supposed to go on at 1:40. We were going to get there. We were going to chill for a couple hours, relax, especially after a drive from Huntsville to Frisco. That's about 3 hours or so. And especially for me, because I drove up from Houston to Huntsville the day before. And then we get a call saying that Longo will be now meeting the press at 11:40 that morning. And we were going to stop at Buc-ee's in Ennis, but we completely skipped it. I may or may not had to use the restroom for the last 90 minutes of the trip until we got there. I finally could do my business. But man, Luke, I'll tell you what, it was kind of a rough start. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's easy for you because like you said,
Colin, the people don't want to hear about you peeing.
I'm not going to talk about me peeing. What the? He got to say that. Jesus, my goodness. But at the end of the day, a rough start.
Yeah, it was. You talk about that rush. I remember I took the day off of work, using my hours of PTO, calling, and I get this call from Colton saying, "Luke, we don't know if we're going to be able to get there on time. We need you to be there right now, like as soon as possible." And I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." Because they switched times and media slots with Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee was during the day, or was kind of during the middle of the day, and Sam Houston was the last team on the schedule, and we just flipped. And it was like, okay, so here we go. And so, yeah, you want to talk about a rush. And thankfully, we were all there on time. But Colin, what did you kind of think of, the media day experience? This was your second time, correct?
No, my first.
This was your first. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no. I mean, I didn't really think nothing of it. I was just there to, cover the team, get some content for the people, for the millions and millions of listeners around the worldwide. But it was pretty cool. I'd say the venue was pretty cool. The PGA of America HQ, when we got done with everything, when we were waiting on interviews, especially after Longo waiting for James Dawn II and Tyler Bailey. By the way, those interviews with head coach Phil Longo, offensive lineman James Dawn II, and defensive back Tyler Bailey, I uploaded those interviews individually on our YouTube page. So go ahead and go check those out. Those were good conversations that we had with those gentlemen. But we got to we got to putt a little bit. My putt game's not is not really where it needs to be right now. But whose isn't? Because we all suck except for the professionals that do it for a living. So I thought the venue was pretty cool. Um, yeah, I mean we also found out, Luke, as well, when we got there. Sam Houston got some new uniforms.
We did, and we can crop a picture up. I think
Yeah,
because we took photos there.
I'll go ahead and put a
But
picture for those that don't know what I'm
it
talking about right on our screen right now if you're watching on YouTube.
it's very similar to what we've used in the past. I noticed that they eliminated the stripe down the middle of um, the helmet, which I'm sure that might come back throughout the year, just switching things up. But I also got to say, Colin, oh, I like the uniform. I think it looks nice. Um, I think the uniforms throughout the entire conference are pretty sharp. I think the Conference USA has done a really good job um, in its uniform. I guess not in Conference USA, but the schools within the conference have done a great job designing their jerseys. They all look super nice. Um, Definitely a couple favorites, and you have one or two that you didn't care for as necessarily as much. But I think it's a very strong uniform conference, calling good colors.
Yeah, I will say I like Delaware's. I don't know what it is about their yellow and blue, but it just looks so good. By the way, while we're at it, welcome Delaware Blue Hens and Missouri State Bears to Conference USA. They officially joined the conference a little over 26, 27 days ago, July 1st or so. But yeah, and I I mean, overall, it was not a bad, you know, like I said, great venue. Overall, it wasn't, a bad experience. I don't really have any complaints. I mean, I don't want to be, I'm not nitpicky about it. Like, we're there. And, but first up, though, Luke, it was Longo speaking to the press for about 10 minutes. It was a 2 minute opening statement, just about like quick, straight to the point. And we found out the real reason why the press conference got moved up, and that was because they were reporting for training camp that night, and it started the next day on that Wednesday. And we all looked at each other like, "Oh, okay, we didn't know this. It all makes sense now." I will say, if there's one thing I want to gripe real quick, just real quick, I really wish they had that hashed out weeks ago, because that's a pretty important thing, is to report for training camp. And I'm sure if the conference would have known that they were starting training camp at that time, they would have reshuffled it so that way it wasn't such a last minute change to where, I mean, we ended up making it like 30 minutes before, but you never know, Luke. Dallas traffic is unpredictable. It would just made everybody's lives much easier if that was already hashed out before.
Yeah, and I wonder if it was, and it just was never communicated, kind of
That's
to
a good point.
anyone, at least from the conference, because as you know, Colin, and as I know, coaches with their schedules, they seem to be pretty strict on what they want to do and when they want to do it. And this doesn't seem like it was kind of one of those, hey, last minute things. I think this was just a lack of communication between maybe the athletic departments or the conference. I don't know what, or maybe it was communicated and the conference just didn't do anything about it. That's just speculation. Who knows? But um, yeah, that was definitely an interesting way to start off, and I think yeah, it was pretty surprising because even our connections within the athletic office and the communications department seemed to be kind of in shock as well that morning. So chills all the way around, Colin, across media day.
Yeah. Well, overall, the press conference went well. We learned a few things. By the way, the reason why they are starting this early, though, Luke, is because of they're playing week 0, which apparently it was something that Longo and his staff had to adjust as well when that was announced, because they probably, them probably like the rest of us, weren't really expecting that to happen. for a Conference USA matchup to happen in week 0, by the way, against Western Kentucky up in Bowling Green. So, and that kind of connects with the travel deal in a way. Longo acknowledged that even though they are technically home games, 5 of them at Shell Energy Stadium, they are still in a way in road games. But Luke Longo says that he could say all the excuses he wants. They are ready to take on the challenge of basically playing 13 games on the road.
Yeah, he did, and whenever we were in our interviews, and you can go, listen to it on the videos on the channel, of course, um, but to kinda recap one thing that he kinda said was, we asked about his schedule and you're talking about the travel and, kind of throughout the year, and he said, "Oh, it's gonna be very uniform. It's gonna be the same thing over and over again. They're gonna really practice, uh, and really be professionals about how they're gonna travel. It's gonna be the same type schedule every week. That way they have it down to a science," and which I thought was a pretty good answer to our question because we were just asking questions about, um, if the team's going to be worn down throughout the year due to all the bus rides and plane rides and you know how it is calling with the team when you travel with the team. They go to the bus to the airport, fly to the airport, or fly to another airport, and then bus. This at home games, usually on the bus. This time you're going to be going down an hour, hour and a half, just down to Houston for every game. And so he kind of gave an explanation about how they were going to plan on traveling, which was good to hear. But it's still something that you got to think about. I mean, these are guys that are our age, if or younger, right? And that kind of travel week after week, that can really wear on you.
Yeah, it's not physically either that I'm more concerned about. It's the mental
No.
part. It's the mental part that I'm concerned about that it could affect this team as the season starts and then as it goes on. So at least Longo acknowledges that of course they are going to acknowledge that, like, hey, this is going to be tough. This is gonna it's gonna take some time really as well at the beginning of the season to adjust, because Luke, they brought in a lot of players post spring practice. It was 33, I think the number was, and they weren't
Was
healthy
it
in spring.
33 or
It was
36?
33, somewhere's around the 30s, but point still stands. It seems like this team is still trying to really figure out its own identity, especially on the defensive side of things. Um, who's gonna be the first 11 out there on defense? Who's gonna be the first 11 out on offense? Even though we kind of know a lot of them that are gonna be the first 11 out there on offense, it's that defense that's gonna be the biggest question heading into that first game to kick off the 2025 season against Western Kentucky. I got some pointers on that later on when I talk about my time at training camp day one. And Longo's not shy about letting it know. And you could say, Luke, that hey, it's a great excuse. It's an excuse. It's gonna be like we can excuse like earlier troubles. But it feels like Longo doesn't want that to really define how they will be, not just early in this season, but as the season goes on, where they're constantly trying to figure things out. It seems like they want to try to just figure it out right now in training camp.
Yeah, of course you want to figure it out before the season starts. They're not going to. No one does, right? Unless you're Alabama or Texas or Ohio State or Georgia. Most teams, you just don't know what you're getting into until you're in it, right? I think that's how this team's going to be as well, Colin. There's just too many replacements. I think primarily on the defensive side of the ball, but also on the offensive side of the ball. Um, the leadership, the guys that logged so many snaps last year, they're just not with the program anymore. And that's how it is for a lot of teams, at our level, due to the transfer portal, due to graduations. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. And they're going to have to figure it out. What I do like is that um, I think the staff has acknowledged that and is kind of saying, okay, like they know that's going to be an issue, and that's what they're kind of focused on. And still, and Colin, I'm sure when we talk about the date your day at camp, this team doesn't know who the best 11 are going to be out there right now, and they won't know probably until for another 2-3 weeks. So it's just one of those things that the cards will fall how they are, or how they fall. But still, I just don't know. I do have questions about the coaching staff and the preparedness going into this season. I just don't know. First of all, if you can't prepare for that much change, and second of all, dude, it's Longo's second ever head coaching gig, first at this major level. There's just so many question marks that it's hard to be comfortable. But the good thing about it is that on the offensive side of the ball, you're returning your quarterback, you're returning multiple offensive linemen, multiple weapons, and so you're kind of set up for success there. And I know the offensive side of the ball last year was definitely the weaker side, but it feels like that side won't be as much of an issue. It's the defensive side, like we've been talking about. We just don't know who's going to squad up, and I don't think we will know until the first day or the first game.
You mentioned quarterback Hunter Watson's coming back, but Longo made it clear that it is a battle, and we have a battle again, Luke. Um, Ever since the 2022 season, it's fourth year in a row. It was beginning 2022, Keegan Shoemaker versus Jordan Yates, and then it was Keegan Shoemaker versus Grant Gunnell. Then it was Hunter Watson versus Jace Bauer in 2023 or 2024, excuse me. And now it's seen to be Hunter Watson versus Mabry Matoyer, the transfer that Longo brought in when he was at Wisconsin from the Woodlands. By the way, he has impressed me in certain ways when I was there at training camp. I'll get to that in a moment. But look, if I'm gonna be completely honest here and not BS my way, Hunter Watson is your starting quarterback. It's not something I
Yeah,
heard. It's not something I like inside information. That's just how I feel right now. Like, I mean, well, just why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he be a QB1?
yeah, I think it's something that I was kind of hoping just to see a little bit. And Longo has talked about there being a battle, but I think we both kind of get the drift. Okay, Hunter Watson is going to be this team's starting quarterback this year again. After all, he did lead us to a 10-win season last year and a bowl game victory. It's hard to say, oh, I don't, I'm cool with him starting. Um, that being said, it is interesting. Longo does bring his guy from Wisconsin, and his coordinator's from Wisconsin, and you're thinking, okay, like maybe there's something there. But Colin, you being at camp, you're seeing with your eyes. You're saying it's Watson for sure.
I'm not judging it based off that. I'm just judging of like the locker room really loves Hunter Watson. It seems like, and there's still a lot of the guys that were on the team last year that played with Watson, aka most of the offensive line. And I think, and I'm not saying that Matoyer isn't capable. It's just what I've gotten told from colleagues of ours. Quote: "It's Hunter's job to lose." It's I think this is I think Matoyer has to show that he would earn it. I just don't think right now. Maybe if Watson does get hurt again, that's where Matoyer steps up because Luke. I mean,
Yeah.
last year Watson was hurt like halfway through the season and he didn't finish 100%. Now it seems like he's healthy. He seems like he's ready to go 100%. Maybe not nearly. You're never probably not 100%. You're never ever 100% healthy, especially if you're a football player. There's always something going to be wrong that you're going to have to deal with as the season goes on. I just think that if I was in Longo's shoes, I would rather have the veteran presence uh, being under center.
Yeah, well, you make a good point. and talking about Watson's, history last year with, getting banged up quite a bit, kind of down the stretch. I would be surprised if we don't see, multiple quarterbacks this year just because of that. I mean, the beating that that guy took last year, and part of it is due to maybe lackluster play from the offense at times, but also part of it is him just being such a physical style runner of the football, a guy that's not afraid to to lower his shoulder and take one for the team. It makes you kind of queasy a little bit, but that's our guy, and we're riding with him, of course. But I would be shocked if we didn't see Matura at least one or twice, this season, just because of that. Um,
Yeah.
and you, well, I'll let you talk about it. You showed me some videos you sent me with his throwing motion. Colin, what'd you see kind of out of it?
It looks more. I mean, well, actually, you pointed this out. It's the same point that I was going to make too, but you said it first. It's more fluid. It doesn't look more drug out like it was last year, where he really reared back to like get some oomph on it. It looks more compact. It looks more over the top than anything. Well, I asked Ryan Anderson, who was a guest on this podcast a few weeks ago, talking about Longo's offense, and he says that he thinks Watson can adjust to this new offense that he's going to have to learn under, especially the style of it. And it's I kind of called this, Luke. I don't know if I've had this conversation with you before. I don't think I've had it on the pod, but I've talked to you about this before. With Longo being a QB's coach, I'm sure he's going to fix several things with Watson's throwing mechanics. And it sucks though that I only got to saw them in drills. I wasn't able to see them actually run anything like in formations, which was in the second half of practice. But I media wasn't allowed to stay for that. We had to leave. So drills are one thing, Luke. That the other stuff are another. And but I am fully expecting from my perspective, my opinion, that Watson will be the starter come Western Kentucky. I just can't see him easily giving up that starting spot because of how much of a competitor he is.
Yeah, yeah, and with also the pedigree that he's built, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that
last
too,
year was
Luke.
last year for a reason, and he was the guy that led the team. So you kind of have to respect that. And I kind of picked up on the similar things that you were saying about his mechanics. I mean, neither one of us were professional or
No, no.
college quarterbacks, right? But you can see a nice motion. It's like when you see a golf swing. A good swing when you see it, and it looks like you said. It looks a little bit more tighter, a little bit more compact, and something that, like you said, Coach Long being an offensive guy, a quarterbacks guy, I'm sure he's been talking to him and going through it a lot and working on those fundamentals. And it's such like a basic thing to say, but I mean, I think that's kind of what they've been doing a lot this past off season and just working on those little things. And I think Longo believes in this guy. I think the team definitely believes in the guy,
Oh yeah.
and I think we're looking in pretty good shape right there.
Mhm.
It's really going to come down to the defense, like we were saying, and we just don't know we don't know anything really about it.
Yeah, I'll talk about the defense in just a moment. I kind of want to highlight the other quarterbacks too. Just a note, real quick. There are not four QBs on the roster. There are actually five. I don't know. They don't have the fifth one on there, but it was a walk-on commit that from this past June. I totally I didn't realize that happened when I was going through the roster. I didn't see it, and I still don't see it. So hopefully they get that fixed. But there's five QBs on the roster. So you got Hunter Watson, Mabry Matoyer, Landon Locke, DJ Bailey, and John Normand, who or Noah Normand, excuse me, not John, Noah Normand, and he was wearing number 17, but he there wasn't a number 17 besides Chris Eaton, the defensive end, on the roster. So that's one note I want to make for training camp. There's five QBs on the roster. For Landon Locke, he was still wearing a brace on his left leg, and that's where he tore his ACL late in the high school season. So I don't know. So I'm pretty sure. So if I was a betting man, I would think he's going to get redshirted because you tear your ACL late in the high school season, it can affect next season pretty easily, depending on how severe it was, depending on what if there was other damage. But I don't. But with Landon, most likely not playing this year. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to redshirt him. Um, DJ Bailey was getting him some work in as well. And I'd say Luca after when Watson's gone after this season, it's probably gonna be a 3-way battle between Batoyer, Locke, and Bailey. And I'm not really gonna say who I think it's gonna be because I like both Matoyer, Locke, Bailey. I was honestly very surprised that he stayed here because I thought he would go to I thought he would go to FCS and build a rapport over there. But right now, personal opinion, I think it's going to be a 3-way battle. But I think the favorites for next year are Locke and Matoyer. So that's one thing I want to put down note right there. Um, Other notes I saw: freshman wide receiver London Dion, the Galveston ball kid, dude's freaking tall. He's a he does not look like a freshman. He looks like he's already been there, done that. But he's somebody I'm keeping an eye on this season to maybe get some reps. But the wide receiver room is pretty stacked. Um, Luca,
Oh,
if
he's listed at 6'4". Is he a taller 6'4", you think?
he looks taller than 6'4", probably because he's a little he's a little skinnier. Skinny people do tend to look taller. But the dude, but dude's not skinny in like a bad way. Like he looks fit. Like it honestly looks like he could like get some reps on a pretty consistent basis this season.
We prefer the word lean.
Lean, okay, lean. You're a skinny person, though, Luke. I know where you're going with that. Um,
Lean.
lean. But Luke, I was curious though. What's position group on offense are you most intrigued about? That's not the quarterback room.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because we talked
Um,
about the receivers. We talked about how they revamped that running back room. The tight ends, in my opinion, is the one with the biggest question marks.
I would say the running back position, Colin.
Oh, okay. I mean, because I mean, Luke, we got a couple of guys that could be RB1, but I think it's going to be a more of a rotating room, like a running back by committee kind of basis.
Yeah, and remember, Colin, last year. I mean, it was Jay Ducker and DJ McKinney, a little bit of John Gentry right there, right? They were so dynamic, and in the way, like especially down the stretch. I mean, DJ McKinney just slashing people, and Ducker just, I mean, between the tackles, just
Yeah,
really,
no, yeah,
really was the lifeblood of the offense, right? And this year, it's none of those guys. It's going to be Shane Porter or Coco Brown. I mean,
Elijah Green,
there's just so
Walter
many
McCaskill.
Elijah Green. Like, there's just so many different faces and new players within that room. I mean, it's a true new class. I mean, if that's the way you want to think about it, there's no returners in that at all. So it's of guys who have seen action. So that's, I think, the biggest question mark. Um, and like you said, it's probably going to be some sort of committee. I think that's kind of how football is kind of turned into. I don't think there's just like one bag you can go to anymore. It's just not uh, in the books. I think for our type of program, but that's the position that you just don't know much about, and we won't know much about until probably the first or second game.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly though, I don't want to see. I'm not seeing it as a weakness though that you can go to multiple guys though in the back. Depending on the situation, of course, depending on like down and distance, the personnel you want to run out. It depends in the kind of team you're facing. It depends on a lot of things. But the fact that I feel right now that this team has multiple backs they can go to that are pretty reliable, Like, I wasn't familiar with Shane Porter's game at first until I went and looked back at his film when he was at UNT. A wide receiver, walked on to Kansas State, converted to a running back when he transferred to UNT, then shined over there in the Americans' most potent offense. Now he's here. He's closer to home. He's from this area, actually, where I'm from in Friendswood. So, he's closer to home. About an hour and hour 45 minute, drive from Friendswood to Huntsville. Well, actually, dang, that's gonna be something I have to get used to. Not a 1 hour 45 minute drive to Huntsville, a 45 1 hour minute 1 hour drive to Shell Energy Stadium. Yeah, I went a little crazy. I went a little bit of a ramble. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. It's been a long week.
It's been a long. There you go. There
It's
you go.
it's been
No, I mean it
lots of
definitely
driving.
is. It definitely is like an exciting position group. I mean, there's a bunch of talent in there. Like we know there's a bunch of talent. We just don't know how they're going to line up. And I wonder if this team is going to use, any two back systems. And we saw a lot of. We didn't see that much. Actually, we didn't see that much like 12 personnel last year, but we might see some 21. Meaning two backs and one tight end. And we might see some of that this year. There's just so many different directions. I think this can go. And Longo talked about you know being labeled as an air raid offensive coach, right? He's talking about that, but he also talked about when he was at Sam Houston. Sam Houston led the league in rushing, led the Southland in rushing multiple times, and
Yeah.
was top 10 and throughout the country in running. So I think that's why I just can't turn my eye, my eyes or my head blind to the fact that there's just so many new faces, but so much fun talent. I think that's in that room. That for me is position group that can really shine and kind of give this offense, a little bit more of a balanced look and help the defense out a little bit.
One more note on the offense for day one of training camp. This is kind of something I made up a little bit, kind of on the spot, but the someone that I'm intrigued to see if he gets any reps out there and on offense, because intangibles, Luke. We all love him. Intangibles. The guy that puts their head down, plays the game. That puts their head down, goes out there, works hard.
It's leadership.
Yeah,
Ex leadership.
Derek Bledsoe. We were me and Colton, our Foster, the Huntsville Item sports editor, sitting there, and first of all, before I go further, did you see how EA College Football like did him dirty though? Gave him alopecia. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah,
Oh.
it's that guy. It's that guy. By the way,
Okay.
first of all, EA, you got to get that thing sorted out. But Derek Bledsoe the third, number 0. So he's literally the first guy you see on that roster. Redshirt sophomore from Arlington, Texas. We all know how it's gonna be. There's gonna be guys that get winded very easily, very quickly, and there's some guys that I don't really know what the polite way or right way to say
I pulled
this.
up his picture, Colin. He has a whole head of hair.
I know, but EA decided to not give him any hair. But anyway,
Oh man,
Luke, what would you call? I don't. Let's just say it. The stomach starts churning a little bit, and you just kind of have to let nature take its course, like dipping your head into a trash can and then getting all that watery fluids out that way. Yeah.
what are you calling out this guy, dude? You are calling this guy out.
No, I'm not. But guess what he did afterwards? After he threw up, he made a fantastic like freaking leaping toe grab catch literally right after that. So for him, I will say training camp day one. If there ever was a reward, I give him the dog. He gets the dog moment of the day that day. Like that's straight up baller stuff right there, dude.
The dog moment of the day. That day.
Yeah, that
Nice,
day.
Colin.
Yeah. So shout out Derek Bledsoe showing some hard work out there. I hope he gets some. I want to see him get some reps because he seems like a guy that you can really like put out there and really rely on. But now moving on the defensive side of things, I didn't really get a good look because look, we were kind of just discussing a little bit before the show. Um, the uh, for training camp, you kind of need to be out there multiple days. You can't just be there one day and then all of a sudden you think you know the answers. But then that and for the defense, honestly, that's why I couldn't really come up with an opinion. I mean, a couple of guys that will say in the DB room, I'm excited to see Iman Allen, one of the few remaining guys from last year's team. He made a couple of nice plays. Jace Arnold, Wisconsin transferred DB. He picked off DJ Bailey in one on ones, and he looks like a guy to look out for. But right now, overall, I can't really say anything about the defense because I have to go back out there for a couple more days in order to really see who I think is going to be, you know, guys to look out for. I mean, we already know some guys, Keelan Cox on the defensive end, and CJ Johnson, who seems to be going to be the I don't know if he's going to be the Mike or if he's going to be a weak side. Maybe Antivius Fish, the Akron transfer, maybe he's going to be the Mike. But he seems like a guy. He seems like somebody I would keep an eye on for sure. But overall, Luke, that's kind of my overall thoughts on training camp day one. I want to go back out there more often. It's just right now I can't really say anything more because like I said, I learned some things. I know some things, but I don't know a lot of things.
Kind of talking about media day a little bit there, Colin. Yeah, you asked Longo a little bit about the defense, and he didn't really have much to say either about that. So I just don't know if that it was any gamesmanship or just I don't know, um, lack of knowledge. We just don't know much about that side of the ball. Colin, I was wondering, did you see the special teamers out there? Did you see any special team, the kicking? How did you see anything? Obviously, losing
Just
a kicker last year, so
just drills, nothing crazy. Um, just
was Pavon still
yeah,
the lead man?
I it's just drills. I don't know. They weren't kicking field goals.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wish I was there for that, but I wasn't. So, and if they were doing it, I was probably out doing other things, looking at other stuff. But I'm sure they weren't kicking it. I am, and the thing is, Luke, is that RJ Lopez was named as a player to watch for Sam Houston on from Conference USA. The transfer kicker from Purdue. He was UCLA. He was UCLA's kickoff specialist for a couple of years, especially that one season. He did really well. I still am gonna subscribe to my own theory where I think it's gonna be one guy is gonna be doing the kickoffs and the other guy's gonna be kicking the field goals. Because when RJ Lopez became a place kicker as well, he only went 6 for 11 from field goal range, and he didn't kick at all when he was at Purdue before he came to Huntsville, Texas. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad if RJ Lopez is a kickoff specialist because Luke again because last year was a problem with kickoffs. Like there was like 10 kickoff out of bounds or so, and not a whole lot of touchbacks, which put the defenses back against the wall like pretty early. Which that's something that we cannot that they as a team cannot afford this year, especially with so many question marks on the defense. And it's something that's going to have to be ironed out as the season goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No doubt.
it
I
seems
think you
like
hit the head on the nail right there.
yeah. I mean, but as we winding down, as we're winding down though, Luke. Are there any final thoughts you have from Conference USA Media Day before we you know call it a day?
No, Conference USA Media Day was this was my second. I was unable to go last year, but I was there the year before, and then now this year. So second Conference USA Media Day. Thought it was really productive. Got to see some familiar faces from other schools, shake some hands, see some friends in the media industry, we've been able to pick up, and always good to talk to some players and coaches. So,
Yeah.
I thought it was good to see. Of course, it was good to see you, Colin, and Carlos and Colton. Friends of the program. We'll have them on, here pretty soon as the season gets kicked off underway now with practice and whatnot. But no, it was really good, productive week, and hopefully we'll have some more answers, then questions still, in the following episodes. So looking good, though I think so far.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting season, and I'm looking forward
By the
to
way,
covering it.
the legend of beer nuts right now
Oh
is
boy.
in Alaska.
Oh,
So not necessarily worldwide, but definitely across the states.
he's not a part of the continuous in the United States when it comes to that aspect, so it is worldwide. Really?
Is that 3 or 4 time zones? Oh, back.
Does it not depend on
I
what
wonder
part
if
of
it's.
Alaska, or is it all the same thing?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Okay, you're
Hey,
right.
the sun never sets over there. The sun never goes away that time of year in the summer. Pretty cool. But hey, shout out Beer Nuts. He might be listening to this pod when he's still in Alaska. It's gonna come out tomorrow. It's gonna be a busy day tomorrow for me, that's for sure, to start the week. But hey, one thing's for sure: football's around the corner. NFL, college football training camps, they all started nationwide. And the Hall of Fame game is this Thursday, first football game of the year. Yes, it's the Hall of Fame game, I know, but I'm going to be watching because football is football. I need some football, Luke. Baseball is my favorite sport, but there's come a time though where you just need football to happen because all things feel right in this world when football gets going and when the Cowboys continuously disappoint. And that'll do it for us here on Houston Sports Talk. I'm sure Luke did not
I
appreciate
know
that.
you're just saying that. You're just saying that because you're like, oh, throw the baseball out the window because y'all just got swept by the Oakland A's. If you even
Hey, at least
they don't have a seat. That's how bad they are, Colin. And you got swept by them. Not
uh
the Rangers. We swept the A's.
folks, you are listening to someone that doesn't know what's going on at all. He doesn't know that we have the most players on the IL, and at least, I'll give the Rangers credit. They have the best pitching staff in baseball, but they have a very crappy offense.
The Tigers, the A's, and now the Braves, I think, would say otherwise. So we're getting hot at the right time, Colin. That's what it's all about.
Let's see who's in first place in the AL West right now. Let's see.
Okay,
Oh
everyone.
wait,
We'll
I don't.
just
Oh
we'll
wait,
hang
I
it up
don't have to look it
tonight.
up because you know why? Because the Astros are. But anyway, we love the good old banter. But that'll do it for us here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. Be sure you follow us on all of our social media outlets. Be sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 250 subs before the season starts. We're at 237 right now. We need 13 more. I need y'all to tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandparents. Like, hey, listen, Grandma. I don't care if you don't want to watch Sam Houston Sports Talk. How about you go ahead and just subscribe to them right now? Okay. I need that kind of energy from y'all. Okay, let's get to 250 subscribers before football season begins. And don't forget the athletic season's around the corner. Soccer starts soon. They release their schedule. We'll have a preview for them soon before the season starts. But for now, folks, like and subscribe, follow us. And as always, for Luke Scott, I'm Collin Neal. Eat 'em up, cats. See y'all next time, and enjoy the rest of July because football season is just around the corner.